Over 65 million years ago, there's a fifth planet in our solar system. Mars is alive, and I don't mean microbes in the dirt. I mean cities, I mean civilizations with ships, and in one episode, Star Trek goes, yeah, all that died. The asteroid belt is a graveyard. The rock that killed the dinosaurs was wreckage from it, and by the way, humanity itself? Downstream of the fallout. Oh, and the Enterprise was parked right there when it happened. Possibly because it happened. And my first instinct, I'll be honest, was to do what everybody's doing right now. Pick a side. Predestination loop or rewritten timeline. Get in there, fight about it. The explainer articles were live before lunch. Slash films already out there adjudicating the time travel rules, and I get it. I even started building my own case in my head. I had a bullet point. I was ready. And then I stopped. Because somewhere around the second time I watched this episode, a really annoying little thing started showing up, and this thought would not leave. What if the retcon isn't the point? What if the biggest canon swing in 60 years is actually the least interesting thing in this episode? What's up, my know-it-alls? All right, Strange New Worlds is back. Season 4, Episode 1, and full disclosure on where my head was at walking in, Trepidatious. That's the word. Season 3 and I had a really complicated relationship. Starfleet Academy left me bruised, to say the least, and that hasn't fully healed. So I wasn't sitting down going, blow me away. I was sitting down going, please, please, please just remember your lane. And look, I don't want to spoil my own number, but something happened while I was watching this one, and I'm still sorting it out. So let's sort it out together. Here's where I have to start, because it's where the confusion starts. What did the marketing sell you? Seriously, be honest. Yellowstone plus Jurassic Park, right? Horses, canyons, a T-Rex screaming at the camera, La'an punching a dinosaur with her bare hand, which, yes, happens, and yes, rules. Even the critics bought that framing, comparing it to a Cold War thriller crossed with that Adam Driver dinosaur movie. Remember 65? Nobody remembers 65. Doesn't matter. Point is, everybody, critics included, walked in expecting a creature feature, and all that stuff is in the episode. That's the weird part. The dinosaurs, they're all there. The horses are there. But when the credits rolled and I asked myself what the episode was actually about, none of that footage came to mind. What came to mind, two people in a room talking, which is strange enough thing to walk away from with dinosaurs in your episode, and I couldn't figure out why at first, so let's pull on that thread. Watch what the episode does the second things go sideways. It splits. Everything the trailer sold you gets loaded into a shuttle. The dinosaurs, the volcanic terrain, the punch, the shipped off, all that gets shipped off to a planet with Una, La'an, and Ortegas, hunting iridium. Great. Have fun down there. And what stays on the ship? A negotiation. Pike, Mbenga, and a commander named Cassell, played by Saffron Burrows, by the way, whose people have seized the Enterprise as salvage. Now, first watch, I clocked Cassell as really more of an obstacle, formidable alien commander, the crew has to get past her, standard stuff, okay? Real simple stuff. The read lasted maybe 10 minutes, because the more she talked, the more something felt really familiar about her, and I don't know, it took me a beat to place it. She's not an obstacle. She's a mirror. Same journey as Pike, different specifics. They're both trying to protect their people. His is a ship, hers is an entire civilization. A Mars that's alive and fighting and doesn't know it already lost. Her culture forbids captains from relationships in wartime, and sitting across from her is a guy who just buried the person he loved and dealt with it by flying 15 consecutive missions. The show says the number out loud, 15 straight, and I remember thinking, that's a lot of missions. That's a fun little world building detail. No, it's not world building. That's a man running. And to be fair, it took me embarrassingly long to realize that. Okay, and now the moment, and I need you to understand that the moment this episode turns on is not a dinosaur. It's not even the fifth planet revelation. It's the universal translator. Okay, I know. Hold on. So, I know that sounds weird. Bear with me. 60 years, we've taken this piece of technology completely for granted. It exists, so everyone speaks English and the plot can move. That's real life reasons, okay? In real life, that's what we got, okay? We all know it. We all stopped thinking about it somewhere around 67. I stopped thinking about it, and then this episode, in a quiet scene, nowhere near a single dinosaur does this. Pike has essentially, he's making a pitch to Cassell. The Federation case, planets are stronger together than alone, standard speech. He's given it 100 times, except her language, we learn, has 12 different words for alone. 12. They differ by tone, by inflection, and the way Pike says alone, the translator renders it in her language as widower.
Understanding other cultures has allowed us to advance faster than if we were alone.
I am sorry for your loss. You used the word alone.
Sorry, I don't follow.
Your translating machine used the word widower, and so my condolences.
He didn't say that word. I'm not sure he's let himself even think that word. And a machine doing exactly the job it was built for hears something in his voice that he hasn't admitted to anyone and says it out loud in front of a stranger. I actually sat back on my couch because I've been watching this franchise since I was a kid, okay? I've never seen the translator used as sort of this emotional instrument. It's plumbing. It's always been plumbing. And here, it's a scalpel. Cassell hears that word, and you watch the mirror sort of snap into place on her face. And from that second, the scene isn't about salvage anymore. It's not negotiating. It's two people who protect others for a living, quietly recognizing what the job costs each of them. And that scene right there is when the annoying little thought from the cold open started making sense to me. Because the T-Rex didn't do that to me, okay? It's not even really, I'm just to be honest, not even got great at CGI. The translator did. That's what did it to me. All right, the loop. And I want to get at this through my living room because honestly, it's the best evidence I've got. This is Know-It-All, God Lover, watches these things with me. And late in the episode, the pieces are starting to assemble. Fifth planet, timeline, wreckage, and the camera is just sitting on Anson Mount's face. No dialogue. And my wife, one full beat before the show confirms anything, goes, he's realizing they're in a loop. She read it straight off his eyes. And I had this little out-of-body moment where, half of me is proud of her and the other half is going, well, that's the direction working. Chris Fisher directed this one, and that choice, parking the camera on Mount and trusting the audience to arrive half a step ahead of Pike, that gave me honest-to-God shades of All Good Things. The chicken and the egg?
We set everything in motion. It's like the chicken and the egg. Will, the chicken and the egg. We think it started in the past, but it didn't. It started right here in the future.
Pike looks up at a sky with a planet in it, remembers a sky without one, and you watch a man's entire understanding of causality rearrange itself in silence. Television. Now, the hold order. Pike orders his people to stand down and let events proceed, and he flat out tells Mbenga he's running on a hunch, no data, just the shape of a pattern he can't really prove yet. And I've already seen the takes forming. Darkest command decision in the series. Pike permits an extinction, and I get it, please, understand, I do. But I kept turning the scene over because something about that framing really bugged me. And here's where I land on it. The hold order isn't the story. The hold order is fallout of the story. The instant Pike understands there's something temporal in play, something bigger than the crisis in front of his face, what option does he actually have? He's a Starfleet captain. He has to stop and rethink. That's the uniform. And the really brutal part is that stopping and rethinking takes time. And in that time, events just leave. They move outside his control entirely. The universe didn't wait for him to be sure. So was the order right? Standing by while an extinction happens because preventing it might erase you? Is that ethics or is that an atrocity with good posture? And here's where I have to be honest with you. I don't know. I've been chewing on it since the credits, and I don't have a clean answer, and I'm not really going to fake one for content. Now, My partner over at Lore Reloaded, he's doing the full ethical autopsy on this exact question. And it's one of the reasons he and I are friends and have gotten together. He goes where I stop. Okay, that video is worth your time. It's linked below. What I can tell you from this chair here is what the episode did to me. It put a character in an impossible spot and said, show me the measure of your character. No good versus evil binary, just me on my couch going, what would I do? And when Star Trek pulls that off, that's the lane. That's the oldest, best lane this franchise has. Now, real quick, if you're new here, I do this the day after every episode airs all season. Subscribe and you're in for the whole ride. Okay, now, I want to pick a fight politely with the smartest criticism this episode is getting because I think it deserves a real response or answer, not a fanboy hand wave. RogerEbert.com says, the premiere's tonal swings are a bit too vast to feel any grounding. And before I argue with that, let me concede something. Because I felt a wobble, too, okay? There's a Pelia moment, a little wink about having seen something similar involving a phone box, and yeah, that one landed cheesy for me. I know what the writers are nodding at. There's even beta canon in the comics where the Doctor crosses paths with Starfleet. It's a fun rabbit hole to go down. It didn't matter. The wink wobbled. So no, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you every tonal choice is perfect. But here's what I noticed when I went back through the episode looking for the tonal chaos that Roger Ebert review describes. I couldn't find where the tones actually touch. Seriously, go look. The comedy and the spectacle and the laddie-lassie banter, the dinosaur punch, the creature feature stuff, all of it lives on the planet. The severity, Cassell, the widower scene, the hold order, all of it lives in the ship. They never share a room. There's a firewall running right down the middle of this episode, and the cut is holding it. And once I saw that, the critique kind of flipped for me. I mean, yeah, you can absolutely dislike the contrast, okay? That's taste. But vast tonal swings, that implies a show losing its grip. And I feel like this is the opposite of losing your grip. This is quarantine. Somebody built that on purpose. And while I'm defending choices, let's talk about the camp. Because I think the camp is a language, not a lapse. These Martians are gloriously pulpy. The big pointed shoulders, the iridescent shimmer on the costume, a ship that looks like it flew right off a 1930s serial cover. My whole note during their first scene was just, Flash Gordon, with 2 exclamation points. And then the show goes and cites its own sources. The season trailer literally has Pike reciting adapted Edgar Rice Burroughs from A Princess of Mars. I have ever been prone to seek adventure and to investigate where wiser men would have left well enough alone. That's the episode telling you what shelf it came off of. Planetary romance made by people who clearly read the pulps and love them. And tucked under all that camp, there's real restraint. These Martians are advanced, but they're not warp capable. Whole civilization entirely about its own solar system. Sit with how much sadder that is than another galactic empire. Everything they are is inside the blast radius. There's a beat where the Martians release the Enterprise from their grapple and the ship just sort of lists, tilts, drifts off plane. Mrs. Know-It-All flinched, everyone's gonna fall. And I got to do the absolute favorite thing that I love to do, which is point at the screen and go, no, that's right. That's finally right. There is no up or down in space, okay? 60 years in this franchise has staged every encounter like 2 boats meeting in a harbor. Level decks, matched horizons, it was always convention. Never truth. Watching the VFX team let a starship tumble like an object in a vacuum, that's the crew thinking harder than they had to. Now I appreciate it, all right? Way more than I can say on camera without embarrassing myself. All right, it's too late. One more, and this one's not mine. So credit where it's due. Mrs. Know-It-All pointed out that the away team is Una, La'an, and Ortegas, and that a certain corner of the internet's gonna thumbnail that as girl power play by Friday. And her counter, which I think is dead right, is that it never feels contrived. And the reason is prep work. It's the same reason that the end of Mandalorian Season 2 worked. Every one of these characters get individually established as strong over 3 seasons on our own terms, long before this mission. So when they're a force together on that planet, it's earned. Compare that ridiculous female Avengers shot in Endgame, which always felt sort of assembled for the poster. Same image, opposite construction. The difference was never politics. It's whether the show did the homework first. This show, I feel like, did the homework. Lightning round of things I think the episode planted, because a premiere this confident doesn't do anything by accident. Lon's broken hand. The punch is the joke. But watch what's under the joke. Her augmented genes responding, waking up, and honestly, it tracks. Everything that woman has been through on this ship, all of it. Of course that's what would ignite latent enhanced DNA. Not predicting anything, just thread noticed. And I'm interested. Ortegas and Scotty, pilot versus engineer, and the show is suddenly spending real minutes on that friction. Now, you don't do that unless it's going to be a through line of some kind. My writer brain says noted. Ethan Peck continues his season 4 slow motion transformation into Spock. And this episode, the mannerisms, the straight man precision, all of it was very on the nose. In the good way, it's one of the quiet joys of this show, watching him sort of drift 1 degree closer every year. Una's a commander now, which is great. That happens, promotions and whatnot. Phasers got their disintegrate setting, which means we just watched the origin story of 60-year-old furniture. The prequel finally explained the thing it was always going to have to explain, and it did it as a throwaway. I kind of respect that. And a footnote for my history nerds, and this one, honestly, this one recontextualized the whole retcon for me. Gene Roddenberry's original 1964 pitch, Spock wasn't half Vulcan. He was half Martian. Red skin and everything. It changed partly for production reasons and partly because Roddenberry knew Mariner 4 was about to fly past Mars, and if that probe found a dead world, his science fiction turns into fantasy overnight, which is exactly what happened in 1965. So Vulcan gets invented, and the Martian idea goes in a drawer for 60 years, and now the episode ends with the crew learning Martian DNA, seeded species across the galaxy, Vulcans almost certainly included, meaning Spock was probably part Martian after all. So the swing I spent the whole video calling, really guys, might actually be the show handing Roddenberry his first idea back. On the 60th anniversary! I'm still deciding how to feel about that. Now, if you want the full deep dive on that history, tell me in the comments and I don't know, I'll make it happen or something. So there you go. Now you know. And if knowing is half the battle, you're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. What's the know-it-all index for Valles Marineris? So here's where I actually landed after all that sorting. A translator picked the word widower and broke a captain open in front of a stranger. And I sat back in my couch. My wife called the loop off an actor's silent face 1 beat before the show did, which means the direction works. Flash Gordon Martians guarded by a doomed, beautiful solar system-sized tragedy. A starship finally tumbled like there's no up in space, and I got handed a moral question I've been chewing on since the credits, with no answer in sight, which is exactly where this franchise earns its keep. Now, it's trading on some goodwill. I walked in bruised, and the retcon still makes my producer brain mutter, really, guys? Even after the Roddenberry of it all? But as a start, well, as a statement of what this final stretch wants to be, I think the know-it-all index for Valles Marineris is a very tentative, very hopeful 8 out of 10. They rewrote 65 million years of history, and the only word that mattered was the one a machine had to say for him. All right, your turn, and I genuinely want the fight in the comments this week. 2 questions. 1, loop or overwrite? Did the Enterprise fulfill history or rewrite it? Make your case. Best theory gets featured next episode. Okay, 2, the harder one, Gazelle destroyed her own world's future to save its present. Was she wrong? You know where I stop on that question, so push past. The Lore Reloaded ethics video is in the description. Go give my friend some love, then come back and tell me who argued it better. I'm here the day after every episode all season, so subscribe, ring the bell. I'll see you next week for episode 2. Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all.